Welcome back to Africa 54. Medicines in most African countries are poorly regulated or not regulated at all, which poses huge risks for those who depend on the drugs to stay healthy. For the first time, African officials held a scientific conference on the topic in South Africa. Viewers, Anita Powell attended the meeting and joins us now by Skype. Welcome, Anita.
Hi.
Yes, first let's start with where is the most risk for African consumers of medicine or users?
Right. Officials at this conference were very concerned about this. They say that a lot of fake drugs found in African markets are found just there, in the markets, in the open-air markets, where pills are just laid out on tables without explanations, without doctors, without health officials. That is where the greatest danger is for most African consumers.
So what's the advice to the consumers?
Well, first of all, they say go to a trusted health facility, a registered, reliable, trustworthy health facility to get your drugs. But they're also trying to improve things on their side to make it so that the drugs that do even make it to the health facilities are better.
Yeah, now, because they have come to this realization that they need to act, what are they laying out as the solution? Because we know it's a big problem across the continent.
Well, since I'm guessing you're not an MD and neither am I, it is quite technical and a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
But in short, there are two problems in Africa. One is that consumers don't necessarily know what they're buying because of lack of education. And two, the government doesn't have the capacity to step in and protect consumers. So they're looking at it from that angle. They want to improve testing, they want to improve regulation, and they want to just strengthen that to protect consumers better.
Now, let's face it, this is a multi-billion business. It involves, in fact, cartels that are both on the continent and outside of the continent. What is the approach here? How do they get to these fellows?
Okay, well, the people I was speaking to are scientists. They acknowledge that one very important element is law enforcement. For example, a few months ago, Interpol did an enormous drug bust on the African continent, captured tons of fake and illicit and replicated drugs. That's one approach. The other is they want to strengthen the testing and regulation mechanisms and make it continent-wide so that countries with a lot of wisdom, a lot of capacity, like, say, South Africa, can share that with countries without very much, like Somalia.
Now, sometimes, people will say, we resort to this kind of medication because drugs are fairly expensive in the formal outlets. How do you deal with that particular issue?
You know, that's right. Well, right now, that's a tough one, and that involves a lot of factors. The market, pharmaceutical companies, patents, tariffs, so on and so forth. But what was very interesting, one of the experts I talked to said, if they strengthen the regulations in Africa, drugs might get cheaper. And that's because if you have countries participating and sharing knowledge and sharing regulations, it could contribute to the economic term economies of scale, where they can buy in bulk and save money, where local firms can compete because they know what the regulations are. So right now, there's not a lot of good advice on that. If you buy drugs from a trusted health facility, yes, they might be more expensive than the ones you buy on the street. But you're getting a little bit more peace of mind buying them from a trusted health facility.
There have been stories of corrupt government officials who actually turn a blind eye or even benefit from the sale of this fake drugs. Did that issue come up?
Actually, it did, because I asked one of the officials about this, cynical African that I am. What he said is that if they lay out the regulations, that will institute a system of checks and balances. Consumers, if they would like, can read, for example, the South African Drug Code. All of the regulations that govern drugs in South Africa, that is available to them. If they do this continent-wide and they establish these codes, consumers can learn about it, doctors can learn about it, and that will institute some checks and balances that hopefully will make it harder for those corrupt officials, wherever they are, to let bad drugs onto the market.
Do they say this is going to be an ongoing conversation and effort, or is just one of those once in a while, one-time thing?
This is not the work of 5 minutes or a day or even probably a year. This is going to be an ongoing, expensive, time-consuming procedure. One does not just unify a drug code overnight. So this is going to be something that they're going to be occupied with for a long time.
Anita, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, that was Anita Powell, VOA's reporter from Johannesburg.